Welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast.
You have to know history, you have to know wrestlers, you have to know matches.
My belly's just a little big, my hand is just a little big, but brother, I am bad and they know I'm bad.
There is no revolution.
You are truly the future of Lucha Underground.
I got it. How about a little heel turn?
And if they piss somebody, if they took somebody off here, well then, there goes their career.
Well, don't piss anybody off.
Hello everyone and welcome, of course, to your regular home of pro wrestling podcast greatness. It is the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, the wrestling podcast where we predict a lot of things. That's right, that's what we're going to be doing there this week. My name, of course, every week, unless I decide to change it, but you know what, I kind of like my name. It is Turbo Tony, and I'm here with a man who, to be honest, still can't believe that The Undertaker threw Mick Foley off the top of that cell. It's Matt Marsander.
To this day, I can't. Yeah.
You can't, as many times as you watch it, Matt, you can't comprehend that shit.
I do. I love it.
Yeah. The reason I brought that up, by the way, I watched the Mick Foley documentary that I had on the network. That's like 2 hours long.
Oh, I watched that. I watched it a while back.
Yeah. And so that's it doesn't matter how many times you watch him going off the top of that cell, it still doesn't seem real, right?
It's crazy, especially considering you think that wasn't even like a finish or anything. It's like we're not even 5 minutes in. Off you go.
Oh yeah. By the way, you have to take another bump. That's a lot like that in that.
Yeah.
How you doing this week, Matt?
Yeah, good. Been a long week. I haven't really caught anything. I've watched NXT, which was obviously the more important, considering next week is Takeover.
Yeah, I do have to prefix this episode by saying that, guys, we're giving a very quick review of Raw this week. We're not even really looking into it that much at all, if I'm honest. I mean, you've barely caught it, haven't you?
I've watched WWE's top 10 moments on YouTube.
People can forgive us though, because next week, in a matter of days, we are going to watch NXT Takeover London, and obviously that's going to take up a lot more of our time. And you know what? I think I know our fan base, Matt. I think they're much more excited to hear our thoughts on that than they are Raw. So we're going to talk a little bit about Raw at the end of the show. But this is the show of predictions, Matt. We're going to predict a ton of shit. We're going to predict 2 events and 2 fighting matches, fights, whatever.
Oh, they're the UFC fights?
We'll do the UFC fight and the boxing fight that happens tonight as well.
I'm going to watch that one tonight, actually.
Oh, well, actually, I wanted to watch that myself, so who knows, I might do that. Who knows, maybe I'll have to put some stuff on the Facebook page about it. Oh, that's a bit of a link. Matt may be using what Twitter handle to talk about that fight?
Well, Talk Wrestle Pod.
Oh, it is, that is. Do you like that? I got that in there. That's good.
Spun it off pretty well.
Good. And of course, Facebook would be the port of call for myself, which would be facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. And if you had been on there, you would have seen some juicy news, which we'll get into a little bit later on the show. But first, before we do get into the news, Matt, talking of those fights, let's start our big prediction show by talking about the fights that's going to happen. What one do you want to talk about, the boxing or the UFC first? What do you reckon?
We'll get the boxing one out of the way.
All right then. So, what do you think? Spike O'Sullivan against Eubank Jr. By the way, my wife knows Spike O'Sullivan.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that make you a bit biased?
No, to be honest, I'm actually, because I kind of still pull for the English guy, which is Eubank Jr. That's who I want to win. That's who I believe will win. But who do you think's going to win?
To be fair, I was a Eubank guy.
Yeah, I'm a Eubank guy. Go to the big match, though. The big match is obviously Joshua versus Whyte. Matt, this has got to be a knockout within 3 rounds for Joshua. It has to be.
The worst part is, I know who I'm going to go watch with tonight. He's sort of I wanted to go to points. I was like,
it's not going to points.
It's not a point fight.
Nah, it's not going to point. It's just because of the way these 2 guys are. They're big hitters. And I think it'll be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. But I think Joshua will.
I think it'll be a fun fight for all of 5 minutes.
That's it. So that would be cool. Anthony Joshua, by the way, is the young British upstart heavyweight, which is on the road to go beat the other British heavyweight who just won the titles over the course of beating Klitschko. And then we get to the UFC, the big fight. Jose Aldo against Conor McGregor. Who do you think's winning this one?
I really want to go McGregor.
Oh yeah, my wife, obviously, he is basically the king of Ireland, is McGregor. Everyone over here wants to suck his proverbial dick. So
Yeah.
there is that. Who do you think's going to win?
I'm going to still go with McGregor.
Oh.
It's a tough one, considering, I know, he's pitched off against, I've forgotten the other guy's name now.
Jose Aldo.
Yeah. And they were just like, oh, he's been an underdog for so long, but now he's the benchmark sort of thing. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Just a part of me, for some reason, thinks that Aldo's going to beat him. I just think that the reason I say this, Matt, I watched the weigh-ins last night with my wife, who's probably more excited.
Oh, what? Where McGregor started to get a bit gobby? He was just like, no.
But when he first came out, and with the way he looks, now maybe I've got this wrong, but to me he looked a little bit like Ronda Rousey did before she got knocked out. And what I mean by that is in the touring, the publicity, the all the dates that he's had to do on the build up to this big fight. Tends to take it a lot out of you. And he's basically sold this fight on his own back, because Aldo doesn't... Yeah, he's been there, but he doesn't speak English, so obviously Conor McGregor's been the majority of the one in the US tours, making a lot of the noise,
Yeah.
And everything like that. So, I don't know. I this one's so hard to call. I still think that McGregor will do it, because I think just the age gap, right? Aldo is coming towards the end of his career. McGregor, arguably, coming into the prime of his career, but I would not be shocked if McGregor gets his block knocked off in this fight with a big kick from Aldo. But it'll be interesting to see. And you know what's good about this? By the time this goes out, Matt, this will already be known.
It'll be done.
It'll be done. So it'll be interesting there. And I would say for you guys to leave your predictions, but obviously it'll be over by then. So be honest. If you got it wrong, just let us know in the
don't bullshit us.
I know my prediction there was a bit off. Like I said, I still think McGregor will win. So we're going with the same predictions on all three of those fights. They're the three fights I'm interested in. I know you got Weidman and whoever he's fighting, but I just thought that Weidman's just going to fucking annihilate whoever he goes against. So Matt, that's the fighting out of the way. People are like, my goodness, this was Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. You haven't talking much wrestling. Well, UFC there's a little bit of wrestling at least, so there is that,
Yeah.
And, well, we're going to get into plenty of wrestling talk here now. Let's get into the news. There isn't that much, but for what there is some interesting tidbits of information. And Matt, did you hear about Stampede Wrestling being removed from the WWE Network this week?
Yeah, sort of out of nowhere. It was just sort of like, Brett's just like, no.
Yeah, so for the story...
Is it Stampede or is it just the Brett stuff? Couldn't remember.
They've pulled all of it to begin with, right? Now, obviously, it doesn't mean that eventually they might comb through that footage and find what they do officially own and put it on there. But for the basis of all of our fans here that maybe don't know the story, now I had actually, before this came out, I thought this was actually funny timing. Before this came out at the beginning of the week, I had actually looked on the list of the Vault stuff, and I was like, oh, Stampede Wrestling, they probably have some of the old Kid, Dynamite Kid and Bret Hart matches that took place there.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in watching those. And obviously, I left it a little bit too late, and obviously that is not the case anymore. But they had just been put up there. I don't know how long they've been up there, maybe not too long. Someone obviously had, I think, tweeted Hart about that being on there. Maybe not even saying, oh, it's on there, what are you going to do? More like, oh, I watched this and you were on there, it was fantastic. And Bret's like, what? That shouldn't be on the network. Yeah. So basically, as Matt has alluded to there, Bret Hart actually owns the footage of any Stampede Wrestling shows that feature himself. So any of the shows that feature Bret Hart in Stampede Wrestling, now I'm not entirely sure whether it's the entire show or just the matches he's involved in, he still owns the rights to that, right? So he got in contact with WWE, he has the documents to back up what he said, so WWE pulled the footage. It's just literally as black and white as that. There's nothing really else to go with it.
It's like, Vince, just so you know, no.
Yeah. Now, Vince had assumed that he had the rights to this anyway, because he had struck a deal with another member of the Hart family in regards to that. And he does have the rights to Stampede Wrestling, just not the ones with Bret in them.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people said, "Oh, is this going to hurt? But is this going to start bad blood between these two parties again?" Matt, with the things I've heard, it's more of a Brett's not really pissed to the level he could be. It's more along the lines of he's reminding them who owns what, right? He's like, "Listen, you made a mistake. Take it off, and then there won't be any problems." And WWE were more than happy to oblige because Brett had the legal leverage to do so.
Yeah, at the standpoint.
Yeah. That's as far as I've seen it. As far as I've seen it, hasn't been any sort of bad blood. Maybe there might be a deal done down the line where Vince is like, well, I'd really like Flat Footage to be on the network. How about I pay you X amount? And whether or not Brett will take that because he's quite a proud individual, I'm not sure. But who knows? Who knows where this goes? But I was interested in seeing that footage personally, so I'm a little bit gutted it's been taken off now.
Yeah, definitely. Could have been quite good, especially like the old stuff as well. It's just well, you hear people talk. It's like, oh, I remember watching, and just sort of like, oh, well, I can now watch it. No, I can't.
No, you can't. Yeah, you had a very short window in order to do so. Now, the only other place that I think maybe you could find it within a WWE banner, funny enough, is a DVD I have, which is the Bret Hart DVD that he did when he first started working back with WWE. It's the Best There Is, Best There Was, Best There Ever Will Be DVD box set.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of Stampede stuff on there. Not only on the extras, but on the actual documentary that they made to go along with it. So that's initially what piqued my interest in those matches to begin with, and his matches with Bad News Allen and all that sort of stuff. So talk about Bad News and Barrett and all that lot. No, there was a Bad News before Bad News Barrett came around, but a long time ago. So yeah,
in a Canada far, far away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To quote Star Wars. Are you going to go see Star Wars, by the way?
Yes.
You are? When are you going to go see it?
27th.
Wouldn't it be? It's a bit of a shame it doesn't come out while I'm over. We could have got a call that, but Matt, this is good news. Oh, you shared this on the Facebook page, and it lit up my day because I didn't know. Matt. And
is it the confirmation?
It is the confirmation.
Yeah.
Lucha Underground announces that January 27th on the El Rey Network will be the premiere episode of their Season 2, which will be airing on that show. Just to remind people that we announced on episode 100, we are doing reviews every Thursday of Lucha Underground here on the show. And one of the parts of the reasons why I thought that was really cool, we actually got a message on our Facebook page thanking us for showing the world of Lucha Underground and doing it on. Guys, if you honestly feel that way, what would be fantastic is that you just pass it on. Tell someone else about it, be the person that we were to you, and that way more eyes are on Lucha Underground. We can all enjoy this together, right? So that would be cool. And it's cool for us to know that we've been a conduit, if you will, to show people wrestling doesn't always have to be the way that WWE tells you it has to be.
I say there's other companies out there. There's other ways of doing it, and Lucha shows it best.
Wrestling is an art form that can be molded and shaped to fit a different dynamic, which is exactly what Lucha Underground is. It's a different dynamic. It's a bombastic world with crazy characters, and it's awesome. It's fantastic, and it's got some of the most, oh my god moments in wrestling that you'll ever find. It's bonkers. But this is awesome. I've been filling up, Matt. I've been filling up my needing for Lucha Underground by watching on the El Rey Network channel. They've got like little segments where they had Dario Cueto come on, and he was just talking about movies that they were showing, right, on the show.
Oh, I remember seeing one which is sort of like where he's on about Bruce Lee or something.
Yeah, I've been watching those to temper my excitement for that show. I'm literally taking little breadcrumbs that El Rey are willing to give me, and nibbling on them until they give me the big fat steak, which is.
It's like, oh my god, it's right now. That's good enough. It's 10 minutes. I don't care.
Yeah. In this case, Matt, Christmas came late, but we should be glad it ever came at all when it comes to Lucha Underground. There was a good chance it may have never have happened. So, good stuff there, good stuff. So yeah, that's the main news. We might have missed some over the course of this week, but obviously we'll catch some more next week. You guys know the drill. You know how it goes by now. So, let's get to our fan feedback, Matt. Are you ready for fan feedback?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Do you have any questions from your Marsanda Mafia this week?
I do not.
You do not? Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, looks like we had lots of people go to our Facebook page over the course of this week. 'Cause we do have a fairly decent amount of questions. One of which was a rebuttal of the things that we said about Melina last week. That actually leads to a question, funnily enough, that has nothing to do with her. It's really weird, but I'll go into that when we get there, okay? Liam Cook took to our Facebook page, and he takes the award for asking the first question to be featured on this podcast through the Facebook page. So congratulations, Liam Cook. You will always have that honour bestowed upon you. Fantastic. Which superstar or diva, Matt, would you think would make the best commentator? Go, do it now.
Current.
I imagine
Punk
so.
was awesome. Like Punk was awesome on current commentary.
No, he would come back if you
Owens.
if you paid him fucking billions of dollars, he would not come back. So
Owens.
Owens is one of my picks. Yeah.
As long as Saxon's there.
You just want that dynamic factor.
I love that dynamic. It's so good. I think Owens would be really good. I can't think of a good diva.
You possibly Paige, if she were to really step back from the ring and tone down the brattiness and take on the commentator role fully, maybe. But
maybe.
Sasha Banks, maybe. I think she's good enough on the mic, I guess. My other pick, by the way, was Titus O'Neil for commentary.
He has been quite funny on there in times.
Just for the times he's ripped apart Michael Cole. That's the times.
Yeah. Well, in which case, any of the New Day.
Yeah. I know some people like The Miz to be on commentary. To me, I can't stand the guy, really. I cannot. I watch him on like the Up, Up, Down, Down channel that Xavier Woods does. Austin Creed is his name
Apollo.
on there.
No, it is Austin Creed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll get on my next NXT ground in there.
Excuse me. Gee, I still haven't got rid of this stuff. Like 4 episodes ago, I said I had a chest infection. I still have it. But yeah, I can't stand Miz. I honestly can't. He would be a guy that if I thought I would meet, I'd probably slap him because he would just do my head in. So, but yeah, I think there were two good picks. Kevin Owens, Titus O'Neil at the moment. I think they would do pretty well. David O'Hara asks if Kevin Owens, he's making a lot of appearances on the show, Kevin Owens, were to turn face next year, how would we book a babyface Kevin Owens?
Ass kicker. That's the only way you can.
Yeah, I've got a slightly different way of doing it, which would still involve him being an ass kicker because he always has to be the prize fighter. Even if he's a heel or a face, he's a prize fighter, right? But first of all, I would never turn him face because he's just far too good as a heel. He's just fantastic. Now, the stuff he's been given at the moment is just run-of-the-mill mid-card, but with good rivalry and good material, he is, I've said this, Matt, and it's maybe blown smoke up his ass, he's a once-in-a-generation heel, in my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he is that good. But if I were to make him face, Matt, I would play off his history of trying to provide for his family. I'm not saying that, he's going out there and trying to get every victory so he can provide for his family. No, because it doesn't work like that anymore. Because if you're working for the WWE, the natural perception is you're being paid quite healthily. Much healthier than the majority of Americans out there, let's say that, right?
Yeah.
But what you have to do is make a storyline where, let's say Owens gets told to do something by the Authority, Owens being his own man, doesn't do it. Right? And he gets on the wrong side of the Authority. And now his job is in jeopardy. Right? They're basically saying, well, if you don't prove yourself, then maybe we just don't need you around. Maybe, who knows? Maybe when you lose your match tonight on Raw, maybe we just decide to fire. Maybe that's something that we do. And you can really play up his family saying that Owens just can't get fired. This is his shot at the big time at providing for his family. Then it's a lot more real, that his job is under jeopardy and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
That's one way that you could go around it to get people on his side and sympathy. But you'd still have to have him go out there, Matt, and kick people's asses. Really, you can't have him out there and squeezing victories. But that's the way I would do it. Kevin Owens could get over really well as a face if you play off the fact that, sometimes he does despicable things, but he's no one's bitch, right? If the Authority to tell him to do something, he'll just tell him to fuck off. In a much more PG way,
Yeah.
Because, listen, that's what Austin did. And he got, man, talk about getting over. That's literally what everyone aspires to in terms of getting over, Austin. So, that's how I do it. Kane St. Dennis says, if Cena was to retire next year, excuse me, how would you book his final run? Go on then, Matt. How would you book Cena's retirement run? You don't know. You don't know.
I don't know.
And my initial thought of this was to just get him to lose to a bunch of people. That was my initial thought.
Just grind him out and just like, well, maybe I can't beat the young ones anymore. Guess I'm not the standing guard, you know, the face that runs the place. It'll.
Yeah.
Oh,
The way
I guess I'll go now.
Yeah, I'll just
bye.
Bye. No, the way I would do it is that I would make it so he does have a couple of big programs with rising stars, and guess what? He would have to lose them. I'm not saying he has to lose all the matches in his last year, but the big pay-per-view matches that you build up to, I'm only talking about maybe 2 at tops 3 people, he loses.
Yeah.
You know, you can even let him have a championship run. I'm not even against that. But he has to lose it to a rising star. He has to give his credibility over to someone else that will be with the company.
So, my answer to this question is we build a time machine.
Okay.
And we let him... And he never comes back after the Nexus fires him.
Well, he's legitimately fired for the rest of his career.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, well that's... What, do you know how to build a time machine? Do you have?
Give me a couple of days.
Do you think? Oh wow, you think you get it in a couple of days?
I will try and work on something.
Okay, well I'll tell you what.
It'll probably just be me standing in a circle, like just stood there with my arms out, spinning in circles. I'll try.
No, see what's going to happen, Matt. I'm going to check like footage of old like WWE shows. I'm going to start seeing you popping up to places that I knew you weren't able to be.
Just stood next to the Brock Lesnar guy in the crowd.
Yeah. I'm like, how is this possible? No. Yeah.
To be fair, if that was possible, it would just be Back to the Future 2 all over again.
Yeah, it would be. And then you just come up to me and say,
Sports Almanac.
Yeah, you just come up to me and start going, Tony, it's your kids. Something's got to be done about your kids. Excuse me. See what you do to me, Matt. See what you do to me on the show. I'm drinking tons of water as well.
Right.
So, time machine. You think you can build one then, yeah?
I could try.
I think we're all behind you on that, Matt. I think you can do it. Moving on. Obviously, if this show sucks, then you can just go back in time and we can redo it. That's always good.
That's it.
No, I can't really say this name. I'm sure it's supposed to be something else, but it's like W4RD96. Maybe that's WARD96. I don't know, but you know who you are. Says do we need Cena back, and how would you do it? Now, we obviously sort of answered it just now, if we were going to bring him back, maybe. But no, we don't need Cena back. In fact, it might be healthier for the show and all if WWE were pushed into a corner and forced to work hard in terms of making new stars. WWE always tends to have a really good moment in their their booking and everything like this. When they're pushed against the wall and they have to create a new draw pretty quickly, they normally pull out all the guns. And, it would be harder nowadays because people naturally don't want who the establishment wants to build them as, but that maybe would force WWE to put their chips behind multiple people rather than one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case, maybe it's not, but no, we don't need Cena back. To be honest, WWE have never needed anyone on their roster. In fact, Hulk Hogan jumping over to WCW, in like 94, I think 94, 95, whenever he decided he was going to jump over, proved that WWE didn't need the biggest star in wrestling at that time. They don't need anyone, especially now. They're safer now than they've ever been.
But
go on.
I don't think that I will agree they don't need him, but I think it would be beneficial.
Yes, I'm not saying that. I mean, hell,
to go when he returns, like Cena's back. The champ is here, blah, 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 blah. But then, rather than have him sort of like ride off into the sunset and just disappear, as you were saying, is like, how would you book his final year? That's ideally how you'd get him back, just to lose, just to put over other people.
Yeah. In a good way. You can't have him on Raw every week losing to people because his credibility is lost as quickly as Mark Henry's was. Well, it's like then a victory against John Cena doesn't mean nearly as much. But yeah, it is along those lines, and Yeah, of course, WWE would feel like I'm not naive. If John Cena came back to Raw this week, the ratings will get a bump for John Cena being back. Let's just be honest, right? He is the biggest draw WWE has, and people thinking otherwise just don't look at the actual numbers. Cena is their biggest draw, but by all means, WWE, if they need to, they can replace John Cena. They can make a new John Cena. It's not the first time they've done it, and it won't be the last. So, yeah.
I'm just thinking it's the $1 Million Man now. It's like, we can rebuild him.
Yeah, that's it. Twan Mack brings up the reports that we said last week about Melina, saying that it was false, and the reports going against the reports that we had stated. And I had looked them up as soon as they came out. I said we'll cover it this week, because we're not afraid of going back and looking at stuff we've talked about and looking at it from a different angle.
Bad.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So the report says that that her appearance on Lucha Underground was a one-time deal, and any reports saying that Lucha Underground was saying that she was difficult to work with were just exaggerating that. You know, if they were in talks to get back into working with each other, that's as far as it went in terms of being difficult to work with. Maybe that can only go as far as she was difficult to come to an agreement to work with, right? That's the only issue, right? In regards to that. Now, we never saw those conflicting reports, but this actually brings up a topic I kind of didn't want to talk about because it kind of divides a lot of wrestling fans. And this actual topic is, are you a Dave Meltzer guy or are you not? Yeah, Matt, you didn't see that coming, did you? Really? I doubt many people did.
Kind of true, though.
Yeah. So, Dave Meltzer was, I think, the one who broke that story, saying that Melina had said that she was difficult to work with. And then, obviously, conflicting reports have come out and said otherwise. Now, fans have instantly gone off and said, well, Dave Meltzer does this all the time. He's full of shit. He breaks all these sort of stuff. He's just a shit stirrer. Matt and myself, who maybe have been looking at this at a longer while, the reality is that Dave Meltzer, I'm not going to lie that he's released, on occasion, an odd, poorly received story, a poorly researched story or something along those lines. Maybe he's just got some of the facts wrong and he didn't get the right perception. I'm not going to lie and say that some of the time he's done that. But Matt, and I wonder what you think about this, the reality is to me that he's released hundreds of credible stories that make his ratio to credible stories to non-credible much more in his favour than maybe most fans tend to believe at the moment.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, when they came out and he was releasing stories about TNA getting canned from Destination America, that was true, right? We it's been proved now, the fact they've moved off to Pop TV. Of course they got canned, right? Why would they move otherwise, right? And the fact is that you could say, well, TNA wanted to move. No, Destination America wanted to get rid of all of their wrestling shows. They wanted, they're now going towards like the Supernatural and all that sort of stuff. That's what they're moving into now, which is weird. And he has broken a lot of stories before that have been very legitimate. And while the other people have said, it's a case of he said, she says. I tend to go with the devil I know more than the devil I don't. That's kind of the way that I look at it. And also, we can't take Melina's statements verbatim because she's clearly going to defend herself, whether or not she's telling the truth or she isn't. It makes no difference. Her response will always be the same. If it's she's lying, she's going to say that because she's lying. If she's telling the truth, then she's defending herself and she'll say exactly the same thing. It's, she's not going to come out and say, oh, well, yeah, this is true. It's just not the way it is. So it's all kinds of bring out this weird kind of conversation about, which wrestling dirt sheets do you really trust? And I'm more on the level of whenever Dave Meltzer or his ilk release a story like this, unless there's huge evidence to the contrary, then I tend to believe Meltzer. Because Meltzer has broken a lot of stories before. Everyone's called them bullshit, and then later on they've been proved to be correct. The TNA one isn't the first time that's happened. It's happened before. So basically what I'm saying is that we, even with those reports, it's hard to state what exactly happened. We're not going to know regardless, it's not really an issue. I'm not really bothered in talking about much further because I don't really have time to talk much about Melina going forward. But that's, if she's not involved,
Nor do
in
I
wrestling, it
have to
doesn't really bother
want
me.
to talk that much about Melina.
Yeah. I, to be honest, guys, it's not as if she made up a huge portion of Lucha Underground. She appeared at the ending segment of one of the matches, which was a good segment, by the way.
Yeah.
But it make no difference. If she's not there, people might not really care. To be honest, they probably won't, right? So that's just the bottom line of it there. And all the stuff about her and her penis pill stuff, I stand by that because the Twitter pictures are more than evidence enough that shit went down. So, that there's no defending the penis pills, Matt. There's no defending the penis pills. They did go out. And she did release John Morrison's address, or Johnny Mundo's, address to the public. Which is stuff that, unfortunately, as I said, she has done before. And that's not even looking at reports. That's just stuff she's put up herself, right? So,
I just can't believe that there's like, at no point would she just sort of like, this could be harmful. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been innocent, like she may not have thought they would have been such a bad thing, but I mean, I don't know how you could really. I mean, come on, that's quite embarrassing to some people. Like I said, not everyone's an Austin. Not everyone can openly admit that they take some help, chemical help to satisfy their woman. Yeah. Austin is more than happy to say that, and no one's gonna go up to him and call him less of a man for doing so. And some people aren't as confident. Some people just don't want that information going out. So. There is that, but still. But that is an interesting conversation, and like I said, a lot of fans just are so against Meltzer. But you look at all the years, the decades, where Matt has jumped out of the call for some reason, and I don't know why. But I'm just going to continue on anyway until he reconnects. Meltzer's been in this situation where he has broken a lot of these stories over decades, and the ratio of the ones he's done good to the ones he hasn't really covered that well are far more in his favour than against. So that's just really the bottom line of that. We've got you back, Matt. There you go. You're back in the call. Where did you leave us? Did you have fun while you were gone?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
You did. Well, you didn't leave any of the other questions. We're moving on to the next one now. Rico Coupons asks, who will be the main event of WrestleMania this year? It is come around WrestleMania season, so 'tis the time to be thinking that. Now, a lot of this obviously has gone up in the air over Seth Rollins having his injury. That has changed a lot more in the card than maybe most had believed.
That's it.
In my opinion, it has anyway. I do believe the main event of WrestleMania, if Undertaker says it's his retirement match, he will get the last match on the show. I do think that will happen. And that it looks like it's going to be against Cena. That's all the words about it. So more than likely, it's probably going to be Undertaker Cena if that's the way it's going to be. Is there any other way that you think it won't be?
I can't think it'll be anyone else really.
If it is,
I mean, unless they do the proper Reigns Triple H.
Yeah, I don't see that being the main event personally, and I don't even know how they're going to do that because if Reigns wins the title, or I think he will eventually win the belt from Sheamus, whether or not he's going to keep that until WrestleMania and then face Triple H, who would have to win the Royal Rumble to do so, just seems very weird. It just doesn't really match up, right? So, I don't know. I thought maybe the way they might go about it, if they got Brock Lesnar coming back at Royal Rumble, they might just stick him in the Rumble and make him win it.
Have you seen the whole things? It might be like Brock Lesnar and Kevin Owens. No.
That to me just doesn't have any traction. Yeah.
Although Brock Lesnar and Del Rio apparently.
No, he is going to wrestle him at House Show, Del Rio, yeah. But at WrestleMania, I mean, there is a chance of maybe having Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar, doing the flip. Roman Reigns this time coming in as the champion. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know whether they go with that. But to be honest, guys, if it is Undertaker's last match, which I don't know. I mean, he's done way more matches this year than any other, so maybe he's feeling better than ever. I don't know. But if it is his last match, then I think that Vince will put him on last. Let him have his big WrestleMania moment to cap it off and then go home with that. And he will beat Cena if it is his last match. That's the way I look at it. That's our questions for this week. A lot of interesting ones there. If you guys do want to leave any questions, you can leave them in the comments section below. Or, Matt, where else can they leave them? Somewhere on Twitter, I believe?
Of Talk Wrestle Pod, yes.
Yeah, it is. And obviously on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. All very easy to find out, all on the screen for you, all looking brilliant. So lots of areas for you to ask us questions. Just a little bit of a reminder for next week. Of course, we are reviewing TLC and we are reviewing NXT on next week's episodic show. So if you guys want to leave messages that are involved with what's going on with them, might be a good idea. Either way, it doesn't matter. But if it's in regards to what we've seen on Raw, may not be the best idea, because more likely we're not catching Raw next week. I probably think that's more likely going to be the case.
So it's a safe assumption, yeah.
We've got way too much to watch. I'm literally half of that week is taken up by me flying to England and coming back. So
yeah,
I'm struggling to get my notes in on the things that we've seen live, let alone anything else. So Matt, the NXT review. You've been looking forward to this. This is going to be the bulk of the conversation on our show, and of course the predictions of what's going to happen, because this is the prediction show. I predict many predictions in our future. Have you got your crystal ball out for this particular?
Ready to seance it all, yeah?
Yeah, with your time machine, of course, where you can go forward in time and find out exactly.
That's it.
As you said so eloquently.
Some refer to it as cheating. I refer to it as the unfair advantage.
Yeah, that's it. Someone else is taking after Ric Flair, I see. So, just Charlotte. So, we're not going to review every segment of the show, but I'm going to go over a lot of the things that happened on it. The start of the show was Enzo and Cass coming out to wrestle a bunch of jobbers. I don't know whether they were in the Performance Center or not, but they were there to job. They got annihilated by these guys.
They got jobbed, yeah.
Enzo and Cass are very intense. There's no how you doing at the start of the match. There's no...
Yeah, there's none of that.
None of that.
No, my name's Enzo Amore or anything like that.
Big Cass was looking like a guy, if you saw him with the expression that he had down a dark alleyway, you would have no problems turning your ass around and going back the way you came.
You would have no problems cacking your pants.
Yeah, he looked like he was about to rip people to shreds, which is exactly where they're going with this. All the time to be fun and do the usual stuff, went out of the way as soon as Stash and Dawson decided they were going to try and injure Cass, which they... in storyline they did, right? That's what they're going with. The match itself was fine. It was what it was. It was an enhancement match. You knew what it was going in, and it was fine in doing that. But the promo afterwards, Matt, the promo,
intense.
Fuck me! They showed a different side of Enzo doing a promo. Enzo, by the way, is probably one of the best promo guys they have in the company, right? I'm not sure selling that short, but he's been, dare I say it, maybe he's been doing his act a lot recently, doing a lot of the same sort of stuff, shall we say? Little bit formulaic, Matt, maybe some may have leveled him. Well, this is completely different. This was a different Enzo. This was him extremely passionate. Almost, when he was talking about the fact that, you tried to take out my brother, this is my flesh and, this is as close to anyone I've ever been, and you tried to take him out, you tried to take food off his plate, food off my plate. I was invested, man. I was like, wow.
It's just intense.
Yeah. And then you got Cass beside him, shaking. His hand is shaking in intensity while he's holding the mic. Jesus, man, this is more intensity in one promo than you'll ever see on 3 hours of Raw. It was...
rage.
Yeah.
It was.
Pure, unadulterated rage that these guys had. And it wasn't so much them dancing around the room going, bada boom, we're the realest guys in the room. It's, we're coming to kill you. You're going to die.
That's it.
You tried to injure me, we're going to break your fucking legs. How do you like that? And that is much more of the wrestling I like, where you're seeing two teams in this situation who we know are badass. We know their characters. They're both, Dash and Dawson are what they are. I'm not big fans of them, but their characters are that they are ass kickers, right? They are men among men. And Enzo and Cass are like, well, you want to play that way? Fine. We'll play that way. And now you're expecting a bloody war. You're expecting these guys to kill each other when they get into the ring in London. Which, by the way, Matt, I'm guessing you and me don't have any problem with. I'm sure we're happy with these two teams kicking 7 bells of shit out of each other.
I'm good.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. In fact, the way they should have done this is said, well, if you want to bring chairs and stuff into the ring, why don't you make it a no DQ match? Just make it go all out.
Just get crazy.
But I still think this match is going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, I loved Enzo's passion when he's speaking about Cass. And then you've got Cass, like I said, just shaking with his rage, just looking like he's a serial killer. He looks like he's going to murder someone, and just awesome. Even Carmella, who didn't say anything, she was very much like, "These are my boys. You're going to do that to my guys. You're going to end up dead." So awesome stuff there from Enzo and Cass. Easily the best promo of the week, without any semblance of
by far.
And it set the tone, man. I thought this episode of NXT overall was brilliant. I thought it was fantastic. It was missing Gable and Jordan.
Yeah, that's true. But any show without Gabe and Jordan is missing.
Yeah. But that was the only thing really it was missing. It had pretty much everything else. For some reason, though, Matt, Murphy, Blake, and Alexa Bliss are backstage, and they were the victim of Freddy Krueger throwing up all over him. I don't know what happened with that.
Bit of Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, it just I don't really know what they were doing, to be honest. Alexa Bliss is blaming Blake and Murphy for their for them losing a ton of matches, I guess, which it kind of is their fault, to be honest. Alexa actually does have a point. The only reason why they retained their belts for so long was because Alexa was there, right? And now she's like, well, I'm kind of dragging you guys up. I kind of don't need to be doing that anymore. Yeah. So there is that. But they're like, oh, we're going to go witness tonight's match and you'll see that we're back on track. Alexa looks into the camera and says, the Blake and Murphy factor are back. They're so back that they got beat into the Hype Bros this week. So, yeah, there you go.
The fucking Hype Bros.
Oh, you're not a fan. You're not a fan. Not even Breaking Ground could save you on that, though.
I will not be getting hyped on Wednesday.
No. Oh, well. Well, someone's got to be a party pooper, I guess. Someone's got to be a party pooper.
Well, no, I'll probably still cheer, because you can't not cheer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, I'm sure...
I'll probably still be doing the he ain't hyped. It's fine.
Because we're going to have fun,
Yeah.
So that's the way about it. But yeah, apparently Blake, Murphy, Hype Brothers, Vaudevillains, and Gable and Jordan are going to be in a 4-team Fatal 4-Way match. Which, to me, I think that I was so sad to hear that, because Gable and Jordan needed a high-profile tag team match on the show. And I felt so sad for that. I thought that was...
just give us like Gabe and Jordan versus like the Vaudevillains again or something.
Yeah, just give us that, and make that the number one contender for the tag team championships. That would have been more than serviceable. It really would have. And it would have showcased, I think Gable and Jordan will win that match. But it's just, I thought that maybe they could go with something a little bit more up there. Just a little bit more, something that will showcase them a little bit more. That's really what I'm going with. They obviously showed the Sami Zayn returns on this show.
Yep.
Which was a big deal. It has been confirmed. He has technically, as of we are recording, he's already wrestled his return match. Because they're already in England doing live events to build up to it. So obviously he's building up his thing. He wrestled Finn Balor, actually. So that's quite a tune-up match.
Balor? I heard that it was Balor, but I also heard that apparently they were going to have... in a triple threat match with Balor and Corbin.
I don't know, maybe. But he has already been getting into the ring, and we know that he's ring ready. He's just getting off before London. He will have a match in London, but it won't air as the special. It'll be on the NXT show that airs afterwards.
Yeah.
We'll be good. He will be there. We will see him live. He's got like a shaved head look that he's going for at the moment. But good for him, because obviously it sucks that he's been forced out, especially when his career looked like it was going on some upward trajectory. But still. And they've got Hideo Itami coming back soon. That's a lot of good reinforcements for NXT as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good. Samoa Joe choked out Balor again in the main event of the night, which was a tag team match. It's spit and drool coming out of Finn Balor's mouth, which I love, by the way. I love that. Because it looks like he's genuinely...
I love it's just like the proper limp in it as well.
Yeah, that's it. He knows how to sell getting choked out, does Finn Balor. He does. And Samoa Joe, since he attacked Finn Balor, I mean, I give props to Enzo being a phenomenal promo guy. The best heel promo guy on the roster, without a doubt, is Samoa Joe. His promos...
It's even the backstage one that him and Corbin had that I thought was actually pretty good.
Yeah, but even the ones that he's had solo before then, I thought have been excellent. The guy, since he's walked into NXT, his promos have been, I think, underrated. I think his promos have been phenomenal. So yeah, there's good stuff there. Yeah, I just think that's the way Samoa Joe's going around himself. He's made himself a fantastic heel, a heel that I think is going to have a really good effect when he goes against Balor. I think that is going to come off a lot better than Balor and Owens did. I think that's going to, because, I mean, obviously Balor and Owens in Brooklyn unfortunately had the problem of going after Bayley and Sasha, and whatever you do after that isn't really going to come off that well. But
yeah, well, it was good, but it wasn't.
It just wasn't as good as that. Let's just be honest. It's the way it is. But I tell you what, though, Matt, when Samoa Joe's doing these promos and he's talking about how he did nothing wrong in his eyes. He did everything he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
It's Finn Balor who went behind his word. That's a good heel right there, because that's a legitimate gripe that I could go on board and say, well, you know what, he's kind of got a point. He always went to bat for Joe, for Balor. He dragged him, the injured Finn Balor, through that tournament. Yeah, we saw it with our own two eyes. Finn Balor making a couple of mistakes
with his injured knee, but no.
Yeah, Joe dragged them through that tournament, and the best heels have a legitimate gripe that you can think, well, actually, yeah, I kind of understand, why.
That makes sense.
It makes sense, but he's obviously going around it the wrong way. That's what makes him the heel. So yeah, when he makes him seem like he's a relatable guy in some sense, that at least he's got a proper reason for being this pissed off with Finn Balor.
Yeah.
He's like, you weren't ever a friend to me. When it came time to go to bat for me, you were nowhere to be found. You were just like, fine. I don't care if you get your title.
Anyone else can get it.
Yeah. So it makes sense. That's why I like the rivalry that they have here. It makes sense, and it feels genuine, right? Even if it's not, it feels that way. So that's good stuff. And here's the difference, Matt, between a guy like Sheamus, the world champion, Mr. Ratings as we like to call him, and a guy like Samoa Joe. When Samoa Joe does these promos, I'm scared of Samoa Joe. Genuinely. Like, I would not want to get on his bad side. When Sheamus does these sort of promos, I kind of laugh. I think it's a joke. Like, sure, in a fight, you'd probably be able to deck me, but Samoa Joe over there would probably kill me, so, I could probably take a hit from you, it'll be fine. It's okay.
You're fine.
You're fine. And in reality, Sheamus would just destroy me as much as Samoa Joe would, but that's just the way it comes off. That's the way their characters come out.
Yeah.
So Samoa Joe looks like he's a guy with a mission who doesn't care who he chokes out, who he injures to get there. He's going to do it. And he feels he has a legitimate problem. I think it all works. It just works.
It's just so good.
With the thing with NXT, people might ask me, Matt, what's the main difference between Raw and NXT? NXT is very detailed in the way it does his storylines. Raw, they ask you to swallow a fucking lot with their storylines. They ask you to just accept his storylines sometimes without anything put behind it.
Well, sometimes they expect you to accept it just because it's on TV.
Yeah, right?
Like, for what reason? No reason. Yeah. Just because you should.
But the plans for Samoa Joe against Finn Balor, it's all in the little details. The way that Finn Balor, which seemed like a non-issue at the time, got himself injured in that tag team tournament, the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and Samoa Joe dragging him through it. Now it makes sense. It really does. It makes this whole rivalry between these two guys seem like it makes sense. Whereas Raw, often, they just ask you just to accept what they put out. NXT gives you reasons why you should care, why the rivalries matter. Like, even, for instance, people might say, well, one of the most rushed storylines on that you're having at the moment is the Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin stuff. But even then, that's got at very least something to it. The fact that Apollo Crews eliminated Corbin, right, from the Battle Royal to make him number one contender, and then obviously Corbin was like, well, if I'm not going to be number one contender, I'm damn sure that you're not going to win the belt, which obviously cost him that world title match, and there you go. It's not much that you need to do.
Like, it's even basic sort of by the week booking.
Yeah. I mean, the guys, they managed to do this in a third of the time that Raw has each week.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for Raw not to make storylines that make us care. when NXT can do it. And people may say, "Oh, WWE's so shit." Clearly, they're not, because NXT is WWE, and they book NXT. The match that, oh my god, Matt, you haven't seen it yet. The match that Eva Marie and Bayley had on that episode a couple of weeks back, that was masterful booking. I gave them props, guys. NXT is WWE. They clearly do know how to book these things. Just on Raw, they just don't seem to care. They just don't do it.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it yet.
It's like, whenever you look at some of the stuff NXT does, it gets me emotionally involved in the characters that they create. Then they go on to Raw and they do nothing with them. Guys, it's really fucking frustrating at this point. It really is. Now I don't want anyone to get called up. All the people on NXT now, I want them to stay. Gable and Jordan better not fucking get called up this year. The next year. They better fucking stay where they are. Because I don't want them to go up into the main roster. Because this has turned into a bit of a rant now, hasn't it? But
a little bit.
We'll go into it here.
Well, it's completely true, though, because it's where NXT guys go to die.
It is. All the brilliant stuff, all the brilliant stuff they did with Tyler Breeze. All undone in a couple of months.
Wait, the Ascension is a key thing.
The Ascension, being the longest running, most dominant tag team in NXT history, are reduced to the most useless jobbers on the main roster.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating to be a fan of these guys, and you hear rumors of, okay, Balor may be losing the belt, he may be going up to the main roster, and I'm like, just don't do it, because they won't know what to do.
He doesn't need to go.
And like I said, it wouldn't annoy me as much, Matt, if they were from a different company, funded by different people, then they went to WWE, and WWE fucks them up. But it's WWE. They are the ones that are booking them right in NXT, and then fucking them up on the main roster.
Yeah.
They clearly know how to do it, but they choose not to. And it is so infuriating at this point. But still. Let's move on before I just... that wasn't even in the script. I just let that rip. Oh, it's so annoying. Other things that happened on this show. You had a match with Peyton Royce and Bayley. What do you think of that match? I wasn't feeling it that much.
I wasn't feeling it. The one I quite liked was Asuka. Asuka's match. Not because of whoever she was fighting. I don't know. The bird with the Ferrari emblems everywhere.
Yeah.
But
Diana or something they're calling her now. Yeah.
Whoever that she was. It's kind of the problem though with a lot of the NXT women. Originally, it's like but it's just the way that like Dana Brooke and Emma try to cause a distraction, and it's like, your winner by knockout.
Yeah.
Just like no.
And they all look on it like in horror. It's like, oh well, that didn't really go to plan, did it? Well, that's unfortunate.
Well, shit.
That's not too good right there. Yeah, I like that. Just going back to the Bayley and the Peyton Royce match. Peyton Royce, by the way, is one of their women that they are training up. She eventually will get given a push when the time comes.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not arguing now. Like, I know she's been out a lot more recently.
Yeah.
But there has been a couple where it's just sort of like, especially this like Miss Ferrari emblem or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like...
There isn't as much, especially with NXT being more of a touring brand now, there isn't as much room for the newer ones to come in nowadays.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And it's just the fact that it's not so much, you have to give these lesser talented people time to get in. If you've got the talent, you need to give them the time. Like, you're not going to tell Asuka, well, sorry, there's someone less talented than you. We need to give them your time. No, WWE needs to get in the habit now of giving us the best they've got every week, which is not what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So you can give them a chance here and there. When it's time when you want to give them the big push, sure, go for it. But there is a little bit, there is less room because there's just better talent on NXT in general. So that's just the way it is. They have to bring in some of these guys to make NXT a big sell when they go to these live events, and the guys like Peyton Royce or Tito that they've been showing up on Breaking Ground, they wouldn't draw anyone to go to a wrestling show. So they have to go with some of these people, and it just means that it closes some of the windows that they have. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's fine. Is there anything else from NXT you want to talk about in regards to that one? I thought it was a pretty decent show to keep the excitement going, though.
I think it was good. It was another one of those shows where it's just like, I forget how much I love Corey Graves on commentary.
Mm.
The fact that Mojo Rawley should be taken away and chucked in a padded room.
Just some of the stuff he comes out with, it genuinely makes me laugh. Like, it's because, like, he is sort of the way that he speaks, he's sort of the cynical side of the wrestling fan's voice, right? You know, it's almost like you got Byron Saxton there who will just say what he's told to say. You've got Rich Brennan who's trying to do his best. You got Corey Graves who's just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, this guy just looks fucking dumb. And, like, he's just basically coming out all this stuff, but a lot more eloquently than we ever could.
Yeah.
That is one guy from NXT I want to see on the main roster, because I honestly think he would tear... Man, this is going a little bit far.
He'd put him to shame.
He would almost revolutionize the commentary on that roster. On the main roster. I genuinely think that. If he's allowed to, of course, which may not be, but we'll see. So we go to our NXT predictions, Matt. This is the matches for the special that have been announced. Obviously, there will be more on the pre-show, which will be done for NXT. So you've got like the Sami Zayn match, which he'll win. Apparently, Elias Sampson is getting a match. He's been having loads of this. He's the Wanderer, the Walker, the one who's been doing those vignettes of him singing. Apparently, that's his gimmick.
Oh, okay, they're cool.
Yeah, they're actually really well made. I just don't know how the gimmick's going to get over. But that's for a report card down the line. He'll probably have a match. He'll probably win, unless he's going to get Sami Zayn, in which case he'll lose.
No, that's not how you bring people in.
Nah.
It'll be against Ty Dillinger, unfortunately.
You say Ty Dillinger like they've actually been giving him like.
Oh, I know
videos
they've been giving him
packages.
quite a lot, and they've been giving him a lot, and they've been sort of like giving him the video packages and everything. And I think I like Ty Dillinger. I am a Perfect 10 fan.
Yeah, it's a gimmick that resonates with you a bit. Yeah, it's got good fan interaction with it. Very
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, just another talk about NXT before we move on straight to the predictions. I put a post up on the Facebook page, which was basically explaining that WWE on the main roster needs to take a few lessons from NXT or how they elevate their talent. And I don't mean in terms of booking, because we talked about that at the end. But WWE do a lot of these transitional segments. They do the really just boneheaded Renee Young segments where she asks the stupidest questions. They do authority transitional segments. On NXT, they don't really have that. What they have is video packages for each of the wrestlers that are on their roster. So you've got one for Elias Sampson, you've got one for Ty Dillinger, you had one for Sami Zayn, you've got one building up the events. Every transitional segment at NXT builds up someone that's on their show.
Especially even leading up to the debuts as well, just like the amount of Nia Jax videos that we saw.
If they could give us 6 weeks of Nia Jax vignettes, then they can at least give us something to Tyler Breeze on the main roster, but clearly not. So this is just it's
advertising time. That's the problem.
It just annoys me. Like WWE obviously have these tools to their disposal. It's just frustrating because they can build up these guys. They do it on NXT so well, but they choose instead. When you say advertisement time, Matt, there's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't have vignettes in placing some of these Renee Young segments that add nothing to the show, and just have.
Oh yeah, the backstage, like my guest at this time. Meh.
Yeah, it's. Like, how much would that have helped Tyler Breeze if he had just a couple of 10-minute video segments, you know, leading up to him coming in? He got nothing. So, NXT predictions anyway. Dash and Dawson versus Enzo and Cass. Where do you think this one is going?
Enzo Cass.
Yeah, I think we got new tag champions. I only saw Dash and Dawson as transitional champions anyway, Matt, and that's all I ever saw.
I like Dash and Dawson though. That's like not to take anything away from the guys, but yeah, no, they are.
Yeah.
They're supporting.
I think this will be the first match out, and I think this will get a big response. I think when Enzo and Cass win the championships, they want big moments in the big specials. Having Enzo and Cass win the titles is that arena will come unglued. It will raise the roof off the place if Enzo and Cass win the belts. There's going to be a huge response. They'll get a big sweeping reaction of the crowd, and it will be twice as good as what the Vaudevillains got in Brooklyn because the Brooklyn event should have been when Enzo and Cass won their first championships. It was tailor-made for them, but still. Emma Asuka. Well, this is a probably an easy one.
It's going to be Asuka, but
It's gotta be Asuka. I think it'll be a damn good match, though.
I'm not taking anything away from it. I think it's going to be a stunning match.
Yeah, I actually think that this has got a chance of beating the Bayley Nia Jax match. I honestly do think that. Because I think Emma will get far more offense in than Dana Brooke did. I think that she'll get a lot more offense in. It'll be a lot more even, the match. But ultimately, Matt, you know how this ends. She'll be tapping out before too long. Probably maybe about 10 minutes of this match, and then afterwards she'll be tapping out. That's how I see it going. Hopefully they get 15. Who knows? But that's just the way I see it going. I think. Is there any other way possibly you could have Asuka lose this match? Maybe they want to have a rivalry going forward, or
unless Dana Brooke gets involved.
Yeah, and then costs her the match. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they might go with that, and then eventually builds up to Asuka does need a teammate. They can bring someone. I don't know if they would go down that route. To me, they're just gonna go Asuka. Asuka will win, and she'll just move on. So that's where it's going now. Apollo Crews versus Baron Corbin. Who's winning this one, Matt?
Crews.
Yeah, I went with Crews as well. But here's the thing, Matt. Corbin's recent record at the TakeOver specials is not very, very good.
No.
So if he loses this one, he loses this one. In the previous event, he lost in the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. He did beat a team to get there, so you can give him that at very least. But he lost at Brooklyn to Samoa Joe, funny enough. What were the events before then? You probably lost them as well, to be honest. He's been losing tons of matches. So,
he has, yeah.
On the specials. So I do hope that... Because Corbin, to me, he's grown into this heel character that he's made for himself. Like, the heel character is way more what he is, more than the face character he was before. So, I'm sure he'll lose this one. I think Crews will get the win. I think Crews will move on, and he'll be the new number one contender going again. He'll get another shot. Maybe down the line. Maybe he'll be the number one contender at another special. Don't know, but we'll see. Bayley versus Nia Jax for the NXT Women's Championship. Who do you think's winning this one?
I want Bayley.
But you think...
I want it to be Bayley.
But you think...
Make it Bayley. Make it happen.
I get a feeling you're not going to give it to Bayley. I think you're going to give it to Nia.
I don't know.
You don't know. What do you think?
Bayley.
You're going to go Bayley.
I'm going to go Bayley.
Okay. I am going with Bayley as well. I think that she'll retain her title. That being in mind, I would certainly not be shocked if they give Nia Jax the belt.
That's why I couldn't. Just like,
The way that I look at it, Matt, is that Bayley isn't moving onto the main roster yet. They need her too much on NXT at the moment.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, I think she's only going to lose that belt when it's time for her to move up. That's my opinion. And the women's division as a whole in NXT is in a transitional period. They're trying to get some of these new stars in, bed them in, get some new talent, new blood. And that's going to take time. You need Bayley to be there to steer the ship while you're in turbulent waters, shall we say. And yeah, sure, she can do that as the challenger, surely. But it's better when she's the champion. So that's the way I see it going. I mean, a lot of people are saying that maybe you'd have Nia Jax win the belt and then give it to Eva Marie, being paid lots of money, that sort of idea. But I don't think that's the idea that they're going to go down with. So we'll soon see that. So the main event, Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. Who is going to be the NXT champion at the end of that night, Matt? Who is going to do it?
Joe.
You think Joe is going to beat Finn Balor? What a ballsy prediction. Why do you think he's going to beat Balor?
I think Balor's held it for a fair while now.
Okay.
I think him and Joe could do Like they're currently doing a really good program, and I think a belt transition may step it up a notch.
Okay. And obviously you've got to put into account the rumours of Balor being called up and all that sort of stuff as well.
True, but then in my argument against myself, they had that whole little on NXT, which is like, I'm just making sure you're good, make sure you're all ready, because when we're done with all this, Apollo Crews is coming for your belt.
Yeah. No, the way I look at the way it is, they're not going to do another Balor Crews match, in my opinion, because they've already had it, right? But I can certainly see Apollo Crews against Samoa Joe being a title match, even if it's a transitional one. Yeah, my pick is Samoa Joe. I think he'll win the title. The only thing that made me think otherwise is that I thought that maybe Finn Balor, they might go with the usual WWE booking of having the champion get the one over the challenger before the event, and then obviously they lose the title the week after. The amount of times we've seen that. But NXT is a bit different. They like to throw curveballs, and I do think that Samoa Joe will walk out. I think he will choke out Balor in a great match. I think this will be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
and
I'm well looking forward to his entrance.
Yeah, I do think that maybe few too many eyes on the main roster are looking at Balor, and they're like, well, we could, with the ratings being a little bit low, we could do with a guy like this, and with Undertaker leaving, he could be the new dark guy on the roster. Now that's not the way I would deal with him, but that's how the main roster is going to look at him regardless. So yeah, I went with Samoa Joe as well. I thought that I thought about this for a long time, but yeah, all the methods I use of trying to predict something all point to Joe winning this match and being the champion.
All I know is I can't wait for Wednesday. Yeah,
ultimately it's going to be a fuck ton of fun. That's just the way it is. My wife is actually going to watch it and try and see if she can spot us there live on the show, so there is that. Who knows, you guys might see us when you watch it as well. We're going to be three guys with you've seen us before in the pictures, we've got the Let's Talk Wrestling t-shirts, you'll spot them, so that's fine. And we'll be the guys freaking out, no less, to be honest. We'll be having lots of fun. My voice will be dead by the end of that. We were planning on maybe doing a recording after the show, but if it's anything like Raw, and it's going to be worse than Raw, my voice is going to be wrecked by the end of that show, so there's going to be absolutely no chance of that happening. So, but yeah, there's the NXT predictions for that show. It should be a humdinger. Oh yes, I do like saying that. Now we're not going to take too long, Matt, reviewing over Raw. This will be a short episode than most, but I've got stuff to pack and shit to do, and so do you. So
that's it.
It won't be a particularly long one. Like I said, we're only going to cover over some of the parts of Monday Night Raw, and so it was the go home show from Charleston, South Carolina, for the go home show for Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. It's been a short build up. We only had about 3 weeks worth, but it's also housed one of the worst ratings in about 20 years, which went below the 3 million mark, of course, which has been the centre of a lot of talk over the course of these 3 weeks, shall we say. We talked about it loads. So the show starts off, Matt. You've got Sheamus in the ring with his League of Nations. He's rambling on about
terrible music.
Yeah, it's awful. But he's rambling on about Roman Reigns losing in 5 minutes and 15 seconds, and he says that should be a world title run. Bearing in mind, Matt, I think he must have a selective memory, because he beat Daniel Bryan in 8 seconds at WrestleMania for the world championship.
Well, that's the thing. It was just. But the other thing was just like, we lost. Like, I beat him in a 5 minute and 15 second match. Like, but you didn't.
Well, they're not really saying
No, but they were saying that he beat him in 5 minutes and 15 seconds, but you didn't. Like, that's how long he held the title for.
Yeah.
Like, from bell to bell, it's less than that.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean. Maybe I'm wrong with my assessment there, but still.
It's almost like they forgot, though.
There must have been shorter ones. Like, I mean, come on, like
Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan pinning the Big Show after he won the title against Mark Henry. That was a matter of like 2 minutes after that was done. So. Yeah,
but like you just said, it's almost like Sheamus has a selective memory, because he beat bloody Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds, bell to bell.
Yeah. Oh, was it 18 or was it 8? I don't know.
It was barely anything.
Yeah, to be honest, it was the non-match at WrestleMania anyway. But The Wyatts come out, they square up to him for whatever reason I really didn't care to know. The
Maybe just
ECW...
because they were the four and they're like, but we're four people.
Yeah, that's it. They could equally square off, and for some reason that drew them to them. The Dudleys and Dreamer come out.
I did think it was quite good, though. I quite liked it. I quite like Bray's little attaching promo.
Yes, but it was just random. Like, it was a little bit like, why are you here? You know, it's everything with Wyatt, it's like, I don't really understand what reasons you have, and you never end up explaining.
And what purpose is this for again?
Yeah.
Just because I'm Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, essentially. But Matt, I dislike segments. Everyone knows this. I dislike segments where they keep constantly introducing new people into the promo.
Yes.
And they say one thing, and then a new person comes in. They say one thing. Another person comes in. They say one thing. The first person who came in says about 5 lines, and that's the end of the promo. It's a little bit like, don't really like that. But they bring in Rhino. He's fresh from his NXT duty, getting called up to the main roster. Obviously, it's always been his dream for the course of his career. Never been there before, the main roster as Rhino, of course. Just that.
That's the one thing I love, is just seeing all that NXT rookie. It's just like, really?
Of course we're joking. Roman Reigns then comes out with Ambrose, and as I said, it just gets on worse and worse and worse. Although Michael Cole did tell us that there was a seismic response for Reigns and his crew, and if that was the case, it must have registered very low on the Richter scale, because it wasn't that much. So they all have a fatal 4-way tag team match. I felt sorry for the cameramen in this match, because it was like a nightmare trying to get any footage. They were going through people's
come on,
legs.
what was it? It was a 18...
Huh?
No, it would have been a 16-man tag match, wasn't it?
Yeah, so...
I was just like, oh, it feels dirty.
The thing is with this show, Matt, which I thought was quite funny, this match includes pretty much all of the major storylines going into TLC, right? Bar a few. So it's a little bit like you've had this match, they've all fought each other. Reigns pins Sheamus at the end of the match. That's the world title stuff. And it's a little bit like, okay, so we can finish the show here. Like, I've seen everything that I should see.
Yeah.
I'm done, right? I don't need to watch the rest of the show, but WWE are like, nope, you've got another 2.5 hours to watch, so yes, go do that. That'll be fun.
But don't forget.
That's it. There's more stuff with Stardust and Titus O'Neil. At this point, I'm like, I don't even feel like Stardust is the creep. It's Titus O'Neil who's creeping up on him, and you know,
that he's the creep. He's creeping on Stardust.
Yeah, I mean, later on, Stardust had like a match, and Titus was out there on commentary. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you obsessed with Stardust? Does his face paint allure you in some fashion? I don't know, but apparently he seems just interested in what's going on. Talking of Tyler Breeze, he was out with the Ziggler and Owens match, which was actually a fairly decent match, but I struggled to care because there wasn't anything. There's no consequence behind it, so there's that. Owens wins with the pop-up powerbomb. I will say, though, if you're looking for some good wrestling, that match will feel that for you. Ambrose comes down with popcorn and throws soda in Kevin Owens' face. And by the way, on Raw, that is pretty much the entire extent of their Intercontinental Championship feud. So, there you go. 3 weeks, and you've got popcorn and soda in the face. That's all you really
Yay!
Fantastic. Wyatts have their usual promo on the Titantron. The only reason I bring this up is because every single time they do a close-up of Braun Strowman, he's still he's still Sam from Game of Thrones. There's no way getting rid of him. Like, he's a dead ringer for him. It's crazy. Now, they're apparently doing this storyline here with The Miz is trying to recruit Neville or some shit. I don't know. Yeah. This guy called Donnie comes in. I didn't care. Apparently he's got a show on USA. No one else
I think they're trying to go with the whole... because it was The Miz trying to recruit once... I think it was like I think it might have actually been the whole the origin of the Sandow story.
Oh, okay.
Where it's just like, I can make you a star, don't worry. And it's like, go away.
Yeah. Why would Neville even care? It's a little bit stupid, to be honest. They go basically. This translates into, we have no plans for Neville. We don't know what to do with him. We had no long-term plans to begin with. So here you go. And
yeah.
Here you go. Sasha Banks and Naomi versus. By the way, we are going quite fast through this. I did warn you at the beginning. Brie Bella and Alicia Fox. Last week we joked about Unity, Now, the only problem is I had hoped it would be a 1 week thing, but no, it's part of their gimmick now. So, yeah.
How about that?
How about that? Are you guys happy about that? I'm sure as hell not. So
I don't feel united by it.
It's literally like a part of their gimmick that would kill them. Like, all of them, especially Sasha Banks, by the way. It's a way you would get ridiculed by the fan base. So, sure. Hopefully, when that happens, you can have unity with each other. And honestly, it's horrible. It's like WWE devises new things every so often to ruin rising stars, and it can be the smallest, littlest things, but they're fucking destructive. And this is one of those things that now I'm just looking at Sasha Banks when she does this, and I'm like, really? Like, no. Like, you should be above this by now, to be honest, but still, it is what it is. So, this is really weird, Matt, the way they did this match, because basically the numbers game won it for Team Bad. And the commentary's sort of building up to Nikki Bella coming back, and then the Bellas being the faces and sticking it to Team Bad for basically being cheats this entire time.
Yeah.
But, sorry guys, no one is going to cheer any Bella over Sasha Banks. It ain't going to happen.
Oh, no.
It ain't going to happen. And no amount, by the way, of having Byron Saxton say unity on commentary with the most girliest voice, as if I'm squeezing his bollocks in anger, is going to make me like that fucking thing. So, there you go. I'll squeeze his bollocks until he gives Tyler Breeze a vignette. There you go. That's it. New Day against Lucha Dragons. New Day say they've given a huge donation to the League of Nations, but of course that's a tax write-off, so they're quite happy with that. They also want to call Kim Kardashian's new baby Booty West. Matt, how do you feel about being called Booty West?
I think being associated with a Kardashian is punishable by death.
Okay, well, let's sidestep away from that then, shall we? I think that's probably for the best.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, when the New Day came out before this match, they did twerk with Sasha Banks, so that was always fun. And the rest of Team Bad. They did some theatre in the ring, Kofi Kingston taking the form of a cat, a role that he performed superbly, I may add, on that.
Well, I think it's called that agility from all of his Royal Rumble savings.
That's it. Now, the Usos, in the middle of this match, they unceremoniously attack Xavier Woods while he was just trying to play them some music, which I thought was quite rude.
Like, how dare they?
Yeah. Lucha Dragons win off the distraction. Xavier Woods is emotionally distraught in the ring. He's crying, Matt. Tears streaming down his face. It was all very sad, to be honest. Miz TV. Oh, God. I want to talk about this a lot. Did you catch this on your on the stuff that you watched?
No, because it was the top moments, don't forget.
Oh, yeah, and believe me, this wasn't the top moment, but I have to talk about it. So, you know what I've thought? I have thought about it. One of the news things that we could have talked about this week was Ric Flair coming out and criticising Mick Foley for criticising the show. Funny enough, he came out and said, I just don't agree with what he said. And I think it's quite funny how Flair's perception on WWE changed according to how often he's been used. Literally, like, he wasn't on the show for 1 week and his son gets referenced, which was awful. He cries because he tells everyone that he was very sad about it, he felt really bad about it, and he didn't want to say anything out of fear of his daughter being ostracized or her career being destroyed. And suddenly, when he's back on the show, wow, anyone criticizing the show, well, why would they do that?
Tony, I'll go back to what I've previously said.
Go on.
Ric Flair will say the sky is green for the business.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
So Flair was asking us to, basically criticising Foley for criticising the show in general, right? And he's been in this situation now where he's back involved in the company, and suddenly his decisions have just quickly changed. And it's like 1 week he's distraught over the mention of his son, and the next he's defending the company against what I thought was well-rounded criticism. It just seems very off to me, so I just wanted to bring that up anyway. Miz is chastising Charlotte for her choices, or what she did to Becky Lynch last week. And Charlotte says, well, you know what, I feel very sorry for your wife to be with a guy that's against female ambition. I thought that was actually a little bit of an interesting thing.
It's like, who?
What they're going around here, right? I won't go into everything that's said, But what they're going with essentially here is that when Paige comes out, because she says a lot of bad stuff about Paige, when Paige comes out, the fans are obviously cheering her because they're like, oh, would you say that in front of her face? Well, funny enough, here she is. And she shows up. So what they're trying to do is that they're trying to do a double turn here, Matt. They're trying to make us boo Charlotte and cheer Paige. But in order to do that, they're asking us to forget a lot of stuff in order to make this work. They're trying to ask us to forget the fact that Paige has said some extremely toxic stuff to the entire locker room before this started.
Like, hey, don't forget, it's a bit testy.
Yeah, and the fact that she brought up Charlotte's dead brother, oh, apparently that's fine because Charlotte's just being a bit of a bitch now, so that completely validates everything that she said. They're asking us to buy a lot of stuff in this whole thing, but yeah, essentially what they've done here is the double turn. They really are putting Paige over as, well, Paige was right all along, right? So there you are. And all the time, Matt, that I defended WWE for not letting Charlotte ride on Ric Flair's coattails.
Yeah.
Now I'm losing that argument every day, and I'm happy to admit that. I really will, because to be honest, they're taking out of my hands anyone who says that to me now. I've got to say, well, you know what, you've got a point, because they just won't, for some reason, let Charlotte go on her own on the main roster. On NXT, she very rarely was with Flair, but now it's Flair all the time. So
that's it. It's kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, to be honest, because we know she can do it. We know she can make herself legitimate. Just not really working. Lana plays into the damsel in distress. She sets up Ryback to get destroyed on the outside with the accolade by Rusev. Will say though, Ryback performed a corkscrew plancher over the ropes at the start of this match.
Somehow. I
tell you what, to all the people that chant Goldberg at this guy, I can tell you what, you never saw Goldberg trying that shit. So you have to give props to Ryback.
That's true.
Swagger versus Stardust. I'm not really bothered. I'm not going to talk about that. Adam Rose does his comedy again this week. We liked it last week, Matt. I'm going to tell you right now, it went back to regular WWE comedy this week. So, of course, I didn't like it. Del Rio is pissed that people laughed at him. This was in the Swagger Stardust match because he fell over, called his scooter. And then they just, he just like, well, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. So they're basically done.
That's it.
Del Rio and Coulter. So it's like WWE realised that they had essentially booked themselves into a corner with this Mex America gimmick and thought, you know what, we'll cut bait. You know, we'll just get rid of it. You know, just go something else. So who knows? Maybe they will still do that. It'd just be stupid anyway. It was a stupid gimmick. It made no sense. But it looks like they're canning it and they're just going in separate ways. So still. Tommy Dreamer versus Braun Strowman. I don't know how to explain to you how this match ends. Just might be me putting Tommy Dreamer versus Braun Strowman up. You kind of know how that's going to end.
Death by cuddle.
Death by cuddle. That's exactly it. Which should be the name of his finisher, by the way. This must be a world record, by the way, for the amount of time we've gone through Raw, but I did say we weren't going to spend a lot of time doing it. Reigns shows up in the ring. Reigns here acting a little bit more like the asshole dickhead Reigns, which I actually like, where he's pushing and pulling at Sheamus's manhood, calling him tater tots, which I didn't really like, but some of the other stuff he said
I just didn't get that. I saw that and I was just like, really?
He's basically calling him a pussy for not fighting.
Yeah.
Which would have been better if he could have called him a pussy, but still. Eventually they fight, and it ends with Reigns spearing Sheamus through a table. A little bit closer to the Reigns that I would have booked, but not really as close as I would have liked. So that's just the bottom line of it there. So all in all, that should be a world record. That's all of Raw, Matt. So congratulations. You managed to get through that pretty quick. Not a particularly great go-home show, in my opinion. You could have skipped the majority of it. After that first 30 minutes, really, a lot of people would have said, well, we'll pack it in. There's no reason to really stick around.
The one part is there's a lot of talk of people leaving.
What, the main event?
Partway through the show.
It kind of like the show just kind of lost momentum, and it didn't have much to begin with. They could have done a lot better for a go-home show. And what they've done is that they've pushed a lot of chips into a couple of their rivalries and not done any for some of their others. Like the Intercontinental title match, there's no build-up for that. They've done nothing.
There's nothing going on there.
Yeah, so that's just the bottom line of it. To end the show, Matt, we're going to do our predictions. This is going to be a shorter show than most. We will say that. but
Yep.
because it was prediction central. So our predictions for the show: Ryback versus Rusev. Who do you think's winning that one?
Rusev.
I think Rusev's getting the win. I actually thought.
I think they're trying. Well, I think they're going to try and push this League of Nations.
Yeah, the way I looked at it though, and I do believe the same thing for at least a little while. I don't think this League of Nations is sticking around for a long time, but
Not too long.
Ryback, I think, will get the win on the pay-per-view, but they'll do a rematch on Raw, which Rusev will win, and it'll be like that match on the pay-per-view never happened. That's the way I see it. Going.
Yeah, it seems quite likely.
Yeah, but I'll go Ryback, you go Rusev. That's fine. Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger for the United States Championship. Well, this is
Del Rio.
Yeah, Del Rio. Del Rio will retain. They just
chairs match as well.
In a chairs match. They just don't have any time for Swagger. And he wouldn't be on this. He wouldn't be in this match if he didn't have a prior involvement with Coulter. That's just the bottom line of it. They hadn't used him before this happened for months, so
yeah,
that's just the way it is. Team ECW versus the Whyte family. This is an interesting one.
Tables elimination match, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't quite understand. I couldn't get my head around it. So is it? Well, so I guess it's put through a table, you're out, and then it's like one less person of the team.
Yeah, it's like a Tornado Survivor Series tables match, if you're going to call it that way, sort of.
How bastardized does that sound?
Yeah, it's just a bit of a mouthful there. So elimination tables match sounds a lot easier, I guess. But yeah, I think this match will be a lot of fun, though. I think that
oh, definitely.
Each guy doesn't need to put their bodies on the line because there's 8 people involved in the match, but each person will probably have one big spot to themselves. I mean, at least 7 people are going through a table, so there is that. That should be fun in of itself, right? So, but yeah, who do you think's going to win?
Team ECW.
Really? Wow. Okay, so you think Wyatt family will take their second loss in 2 pay-per-view events? 2 guys that they're not really interested in building up. Or have I just convinced you to go the other way? I honestly thought the Wyatts would win. I thought they should win, to be honest. They better fucking win, to be honest.
To be fair, the Wyatts are going to be around longer.
Still, it's WWE. They might let ECW win so Wyatts come back and fight them in another match time.
WWE never let ECW win.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. Even when they wanted ECW to win, they didn't let ECW win. So it is. So what are you going for? Are you still sticking with ECW?
No. The ECW purist in me is giving in.
Yeah, all right. Wyatt family is Wyatt family. I do think the Wyatt family will win, and to be honest, they need it. They got beaten so easily and convincingly by the Undertaker and Kane that they really do need this win to kind of put themselves back on the map. So.
Back to legitimize themselves.
Yeah, really, they do. So, Charlotte versus Paige. I think the double turn will continue. Charlotte will retain this title by cheating. That's how I see it going.
By being the dirtiest player of the game.
Yeah. Paige will be an upstanding citizen, of course, which wouldn't say anything bad, because that's just not what her character's all about. Because WWE want us to forget what she's done before. And I'm sure that maybe Becky Lynch maybe involved somehow. She might talk to Charlotte afterwards, and Charlotte might tell her to fuck off or something like that, but I don't know. But yeah, I see Charlotte cheating to retain the title. That's how I see it go. Or hell, maybe you might have Charlotte trying to cheat, and then Becky stops him from cheating, and Paige wins the belt. That's another way to go around it. But I think that Charlotte will win. New Day versus the Usos versus the Lucha Dragons.
Ooh, triple threat table. Not triple threat table. Triple threat ladder match.
That should be a lot of fun.
That's going to be great fun to watch.
Who do you think's walking out with those belts, though?
Dragons.
Yeah, Dragons! Wow, I did not expect that. Okay, I went with the Usos to win the titles.
Okay.
The reason why I picked them is because New Day have had a great run, and they are the best team in WWE, but it's a long-term rivalry that I think WWE want, and I think they want it with the Usos. But why do you think the Luchas then? Why do you think Lucha's going to get it?
Because I think they've been getting quite a lot of push recently.
Okay. All right, fair enough. That should be interesting. New Day are going to win and troll all of us, in which case, if they do, I'll be more than happy. I won't bother if they... They might do a thing where Xavier Woods is the one that drags the belts down, and
that's true.
Like that. Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship.
For the No One Cares Championship.
Yeah, that's the one. You know it very well.
I pinned Mark Henry for it once.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I pinned Mark Henry and I found the IC title under him.
Yeah, that's it. I like the way you merged two long-standing jokes there together, man. That was exemplary work. That was fantastic. I'm pretty sure how I think this is going to end. Do you want to get my prediction first?
I kind of... Well, no, because I've just had a sudden brainstorm moment where it's just like, but what if the Usos won? And then Ambrose won? And then Reigns won?
Because the good guys never win in WWE, man.
But then we'd have like a 4... Yeah, they would lock almost every title, because we've got the US champion. Like, it would pretty much like lock every title into the same 8 people for a month.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
Never mind. I think Owens will win though. No, Ambrose. I got Ambrose.
You're gonna go Ambrose to win?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with Ambrose to win, but not the Intercontinental Championship. I think Owens will get a count out or DQ to retain his belt.
Okay.
And then I think that because I thought this WWE have left themselves open. This match is not a stipulation match. It's not a chairs. It's not a ladders. It's not a tables match. It's not a TLC match. The disqualification is still open to the champion.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get DQ'd, and then he'll go, and then maybe down the line Ambrose will win it. Because WWE like dragging out their storylines, to be honest. So this is probably the way they're going to go. This leads us to Roman Reigns versus Sheamus in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. If WWE knows what's good for them, they'll have Reigns win the belt, then go into Royal Rumble, beat Sheamus again, and wrap this shit up now. Just get it done. What about you? What do you think?
I can completely agree.
I think Roman Reigns is going to win this one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm along the same sort of thought.
Give Lord Ratings his time to ride off into the sunset.
Mr. Ratings. Yeah,
Mr. Ratings, exactly.
And he had his 3 weeks as champion. That's more than he should have been given, so... There you go. That's it. That's how I see it going there. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys think about the show. Like I said, this will be up before TLC and NXT, so at least those predictions will be sound, not our the fights earlier on.
Do you know one thing I saw the other day? Actually, it was quite shocking.
What?
It was someone said the NXT Championship is more legitimate than the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
It's a
and I was like, I can't find a flaw with that.
Well, maybe we should talk about that more next week. That'll be an interesting conversation. So there is that. Apparently my daughter has a lot to say about that. She's shouting out in the room next to me. So there is that. Talking of that, is there anything else that you want to wrap up before we wrap up this episode here this week?
No, bring on London.
Bring on London. I think that's a good thing about it. She is absolutely going crazy. I think I might have to let what?
She wants London.
What? Tell us about NXT. She's gone all quiet now. What else do you want to talk about? We wrapped up the podcast. Is that the end? What else do you want to talk about? Are you going? You don't want to talk about anything anymore? She didn't know I was podcasting. She's she's run off. She's gone off. Okay. So yeah, let's do our plugs there.
The ultimate protection.
It is
from the daughter. Yeah. Just like podcast.
There you go. She's become now the official third host of the show. And she can't say anything.
Toddles off. Just, no.
Can't deal with it.
Daddy, no.
She's still pissed that I'm leaving the country, that I'm leaving her for a couple of days, so...
That's true.
There is that. So, we should probably plug out before we finish up the show. What do you think?
That's true.
Let's do that.
We should.
Matt, what's the Twitter handle?
Of @TalkWrestlePod.
It is indeed. If you guys want to follow us on Facebook, you can do that at facebook.com/Let's Talk Wrestling Podcast. And of course, you can subscribe to the channel. You can like this video as well, which helps us. And you can ask us any questions in the comments section below. We will be posting up some pictures. You'll be posting up some pictures of.
I'm sure I'll be able to get some internet in that place.
Yeah. So we'll be having a lot of fun.
I don't want to be that dickhead though, because obviously it's like for the US, it's like at 3 PM, and I don't want to be that dickhead. It's like, look at all this funny.
Well, we're gonna post up like stuff that's happening, but we'll try and keep clear of spoilers for everyone.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it's happening at 3 o'clock in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. Most people will be at work. So we won't spoil it for people, but we will post people wrestling because you know that's going to happen. So, and any pictures that we take of big moments, we'll post them a couple of days later or something.
I won't.
Like that. Yeah, something like that. Or we just post them up, or we just fuck with you anyway.
That's it. Sod it. Too much work.
Yeah. So yeah, that is a much quicker episode than most. I say quicker. It's still an hour and a half. We're just used to doing 2-hour episodes each week. But obviously we've got a lot of stuff to do this week. Next week is going to be bumper edition. The amount of stuff we have to review is going to be monstrous.
No Raw.
No Raw, but we've got plenty of other stuff to review. We're not going to review Raw. Maybe you guys can tell us what happened, and we can keep up and have a look at it, what's going on there. Matt can hiccup as the day.
Yep.
We're wrapping this up at just the right time, when my voice is just about to go, the little one wants to get involved, you've got hiccups. I think it's time to wrap this shit up. So, thanks a lot for you guys for catching up with this show. Hope you did enjoy it. And next week will be a bumper edition, and we're looking forward to just being there on the show next week. It's going to be a blast.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. All right then, guys. Catch you next time.
Catch you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.